Hi, I'm Phil, Youth Services Librarian at Octavia Philin Children and Youth Library. Welcome to Hour of Code, a computer science program where we learn how to use computer programming to create animations and video games and other neat projects. This month, we're using a program called Scratch to use code to create simple video games. And I'm excited because today we're going to be making a simple racing game for 2 players. If you haven't watched last week's video, it gave a pretty basic introduction to Scratch, including how to use the interface, how to create an account, and how to use basic blocks. So if you haven't watched that one yet, you may want to start there. Let's go ahead and get started. If you haven't yet, please sign in to your Scratch account. Now, this will take us to the Scratch homepage. There's a lot of things to explore here, and I'd encourage you to check out some of the other featured projects, but again, like last week, we're going to be using a starter project. The starter project link is in the video description below, so please click on that link, and that will take us to our racing game starter project. Again, just like last week, we're going to click the Remix button to create a copy of this project that we can edit ourselves. We're now inside of our racing game starter project. You can see that we have a backdrop that looks like a racetrack, and that's over here in our backdrops menu. And then we also have 2 sprites, or characters, for our 2 different racing players. Now you can customize those. Right now it's an elephant and a lion, but you can customize those to be whatever you want by going down here to the Choose a Sprite and clicking on the magnifying glass, and you could create your racers to be really anything that you want them to be. I'll go ahead and stick with the elephant and the lion for today. Now we need to start programming our characters to be able to move. And to do that, we're going to be using something called event blocks. Event blocks are found over here on the left-hand side. Events are a really important computer science concept. An event is an action that causes something else to happen. In a video game, that might be that the player presses a key. And so let's say they press the space key. That event will cause something to happen in the program. A lot of times it's maybe the character in the program will jump. And other types of events might be a mouse click, or maybe even clicking on or interacting with something inside the program. For example, a common event in Scratch is to click the green flag, and that will often start your program. So we're going to be using events today to make our characters be able to race. So let's actually start with motion first, and then we'll move down to our events to figure out how to make the characters move. So in our motion blocks, all of these blue ones, they control how our sprites move around. And so we're going to start with move 10 steps. And what that will do, actually I'll click on it here, and if you look over here, you'll notice that my elephant character, when I click it, is actually going to move forward 10 steps. So I'm going to back him up to the starting line again. Now if I keep on going down in the list here, you're going to see one that says turn 15 degrees. And if I click on that one and you watch my elephant, you'll see he starts to turn. Now I have another one right below that, another block, that's basically turned the opposite direction 15 degrees. And if I click that, you can see he turns back around again. So these are the 3 motion blocks that I'm going to need for my character to be able to go forward, or to the left, or to the right. But right now, in order to make my character move, I actually have to click on the buttons, and the game wouldn't be very fun if I had to keep clicking these blocks to make my character go. And so what I want to do is program some events so that when the player presses the keys on the keyboard, it will make these code blocks happen. So I'm going to put my elephant back here, and let's go to the events next over here on our menu. And we're going to get this when space key pressed. And we're actually going to get 3 of them because we're going to do 3 different keys. We won't actually even be using the space key, but if you click the little drop-down menu underneath of by space right there, you'll see that it has pretty much every single possible key press, or many of them, that you have on your keyboard. So we're going to start with moving forward. And I want my character to move forward when I click the up arrow right here. And so now, if I connect the move 10 steps to when up arrow pressed, now if I go over here and I press the up arrow, you can see my character moves forward. Let's do the same thing now for the left and right. So I want to use the left arrow for my character to turn left, and my right arrow key for my character to turn right. So I'm going to say when left arrow pressed, turn to the left 15 degrees. And when the right arrow is pressed, turn to the right 15 degrees. And now over here, you'll notice that I can control my elephant. Now, we're going to make it a little bit smoother because right now the movement is pretty choppy, and if I'm holding down forward, he sort of moves forward, but then if I hit left or right, he stops moving. So I want to make my character's motion a lot smoother to make the game more fun for the person who's playing it. And so I'm going to use a control block. And the control block we're going to be using is fairly far down in the control menu. It's called repeat until. Basically, what this is telling the computer is when I press a key, I want it to keep repeating this motion until something else happens to stop it. In this case, the something that happens is you let go of the key. So I'm going to get a repeat until block, and I'm actually going to put it up here around the move 10 steps. And we'll do the same thing in a little bit with our other two, but for now, let's just stick with the moving forward block of code. So when the up arrow key is pressed, rather than having to keep pressing the key again and again, well, my guy keeps on moving forward now because I haven't told it what to make it stop. But anyway, when the key arrow is pressed, I want it to move 10 steps and keep repeating that until what happens? Well, until I let go of the key. So I'm going to go to the sensing block, and there in this, or the sensing area, and in there is a block called key pressed. Currently it says space key, but I'm going to change that to up arrow. And then I'm going to go to operators here, and operators have a lot of ways to modify other blocks. And in this case, I want the not block. And I'm going to put the key up arrow pressed inside of the not block. Then I'm going to put all of that inside here. So now it says when I press the up arrow key, I want it to keep repeating moving 10 steps until the up arrow key is not pressed. If I hold down the up arrow, it's going to keep moving forward. When I let go, it'll stop, which creates a much, much smoother motion. And I might actually reduce this maybe to 5 steps because my elephant was moving pretty fast before. I think that's just about perfect right there. So I'm going to do the same thing now for these left and right code blocks. So I'll go back to control and do repeat until here and also repeat until here. I'm going to go to my operators and get a not block for both of these. And then I'll go to sensing and get a key pressed block. And now I have to change this space. When the left arrow is pressed, repeat turning left until the left arrow is not pressed. And then same thing here. When the right arrow is pressed, repeat turning right until the right key arrow is not pressed. So now I should be able to control my elephant, and you guys can see here that it's much smoother. Whee! All right, so my elephant just did a lap. My code is great for my elephant, but I haven't done anything for my lion yet. And so I need to actually go and do the same thing for my lion over here that I just did for my elephant. I'm going to choose a classic key combination for that that's often used for video games. I'm going to use W, A, and D. W will be moving forward, A will be moving to the left, and D will be moving to the right. Okay, so I finished the code now for my lion. It looks almost identical to my elephant code, except here now it says when the W key is pressed, move forward 10 steps until the W key is not pressed. So that's moving forward. And then I have when the A key is pressed, turn left until the A key is not pressed anymore, and same thing when the D key is pressed. Turn right until the D key is not pressed anymore. So now I can control my lion in the same way. I just remembered that I changed this 10 to a 5 to slow the speed down a little bit. It wouldn't be very fair to have one player with super speed and one player not in terms of your coding, so it's good to keep those the same here. The last thing I would suggest adding to your program is to tell the program to always start your players off at the starting line when they click the green flag. If you leave it like this, if your players end up somewhere in the middle of the screen and the next player comes to play, those sprites will stay right where the last player left them. That's just how the program works. It doesn't know to start your sprites at the starting line unless you tell it to do that. And that's one of the things about computer science is even when it seems in your mind like the computer should know to do something, it only does exactly what you tell it to do. And so this is one of those important computer concepts is that you have to tell it exactly what to do, including how you want it to start. So in this case, I'm going to go to my elephant first, and I want my elephant to start just about right here with its trunk just touching the front of the starting line. And then I'm going to go to my motion blocks, and you'll see right here, there is a button that says go to x-7, y151. And you can see right now that the current position of my elephant is, well, I just moved it a little bit, but now it's -9, 151. And so you'll notice this go-to block actually always changes to match where my sprite currently is. So I'm going to go back over here and grab that go-to block because I want my elephant to always start right here at -9 and y 151. I'll do the same thing for my lion. I'm just going to make the front of him be right at the front of the starting line so it's even like that. He's at -10 120, and you can see here that go-to XY block is -10 120. But I need another event block to tell the computer when to send the characters to that space. So I'm going to go back to events and click on when flag clicked and connect it here, and go back to my elephant and do the same thing. And now, no matter where my characters are, if I click the flag, they're always going to start back right at the starting line. You could do the same thing also with the direction that they are pointing, because right now, if someone ended up pointing their elephant like this, and you click the flag, the elephant's going to stay facing backwards. And so you could also say point in direction 90, which basically is just facing forward. And point in direction 90 for the elephant as well. Whoops. Let me go back to my elephant sprite. And now, if I click there, now they're going to both start right there on the starting line, and they'll also be facing forward as soon as I click the flag. The last thing that I'd encourage you to do is to explore some of the add-ons for this project. This project was inspired by Google CS First, which is a computer coding curriculum, and they have provided a lot of other add-ons or ways that you can make your racing game even cooler. To get to the add-ons page, click the add-ons link in the video description below. When you click on that link, you will see this page called Add-ons. There is a quick video that shows you a preview of what some of the add-ons look like, but then if you go below, you'll see that there are a whole bunch of different add-ons that you can add to your program. I'd encourage you to try some of those to make your game even cooler and to become more familiar with computer coding concepts. Thanks so much for joining me for Hour of Code today. As always, you're welcome to join in person as well on Wednesdays at 4 p.m. at the Children and Youth Library, and I hope to see you again next week. Thanks.